So today's class is, there we go. So we're gonna start, and today's class is about energy work, about energy sensing and energy manipulation. So before we get into, yes, it is beginner friendly. Energy work is beginner friendly. So before I get into it, so sometimes there are like times where people will do a spell, for example, and put stuff into a bottle, seal it with wax, expect a magical response back. But a lot of the time, that's not just what goes into creating a spell. You have to put your own energy or take energy from a source, and that's going to gain a magical response. So sensing what energy to use, that's what energy sensing is, and energy manipulation. We're going to talk about that in this class. So next slide. Okay, so these are the types of energy. This is not every single energy, but these are what's usually common. These are just brief descriptions of different types of energy most commonly used by practitioners. So first is personal energy. So personal energy, this is like your own energy. This is basically often recharged by rest, self-care, food, sleep, just general things that keep you active. So it's most commonly used by practitioners in spell work and other common areas of witchcraft. So for example, when you create a spell or when you do a ritual and you're putting out energy there, that is your own personal energy. So it's most commonly used in spell work. Next is organic energy. So these are things from energy from natural things like humans, plants, crystals, animals, and this also includes metals. You can use these as a source. So for example, when you have a crystal, for a really quick example is when you charge a crystal using selenite. So when you place your crystal on top of the selenite, the energy from the selenite, that's like an endless supply of energy to charge your crystals, will go to the crystal that you want to charge. And that's your crystal now has energy. And you using the crystal now, for example, amethyst for better sleep, you putting it next to your bed, that's you using the energy from the amethyst. So that's organic energy. Yes, selenite is a crystal that's always charged. Yes. So next is rooted energy. This is the most common source. It includes planetary bodies, elements, and weather. So, for example, casting a circle, you will call for help from the elements and the spirit when casting a circle. Lunar witches will use the moon to draw energy from it in their spell work. Moon bathing, that's also like moon bathing for enchanting items or for cleansing crystals. That's also using energy from rooted energy. Next is artistic energy. This is a very specific type of energy. Artistic energy is contained in the art an artist creates. So it includes music, painting, singing, and dancing. So for example, when you cleanse using dance, there are people who cleanse using dance and using music. So when you dance, that is the energy that you create while you dance is what's cleansing the space. So that's artistic energy. When people who, I know that people on the server crochet, and when they crochet with intent, that's also artistic energy. So next is inorganic energy. So these are energy contained in objects like family heirlooms, grimoires, or objects that hold significance or sentiment. So things that like have been in your family for a really long time, or grimoires because it has sentiment and significance. So these are like just non-living things that hold energy. Sometimes some things can have like if you go to a thrift store and some things seem really old, those usually have inorganic energy. Next is magical energy. So this is the energy that you already put into magical objects like enchanted items, spell jars, sigils. So when I get into energy sensing, You can use energy sensing to see if one of your spells worked by sensing the energy that's already in the spell jar, for example. So if you feel like the spell jar stopped working, that's energy sensing. And that's checking the magical energy of the spell jar. So those are just like really quick descriptions of the types of energy. That's definitely not all of it, but these are the main, what I consider the main. So next slide. There we go. So what is energy sensing? So I have here the definition. It's the ability to sense energy. So this is frequency, vibrations, auras, or other things like that around us and within us. So most empaths and people with clairs have been using energy sensing. What I mean by that is, for example, when um, someone who's an empath will walk into a room and feel the residual um, emotions and feelings that have been left in the space, that is energy sensing. And people with clairs, when, for example, someone with clair abilities will know that there is an entity nearby, that is energy sensing. Energy sensing allows us to work with energies outside our own by first detecting them, allowing us to manipulate them. I'll get into manipulation towards the end, but energy sensing um, is very important because knowing what energies are there, because energy is, we can't see it, um, but it's there, so that's what makes it magical. So knowing how to sense energy is very important because this can help you in the next slide by the way. In the next slide are ways that we can use energy sensing and how important it is in practically even daily practice. So, for example, picking out flowers, crystals, plants, etc. So here you can like when you're picking out flowers, so we're Filipino, we pay respect to nature. You can't just pick a random flower. You have to ask for permission first. You have to, like, for example, picking out a stick from a tree. You have to ask for permission first. But how will you know if the tree will allow you to pick a leaf or pick a branch? This is done by energy sensing. So when you for example, release your energy and then get the energy back. So that's getting the response back. That's energy sensing and getting a response from the tree itself. So you can use energy sensing and picking out flowers and crystals, etc. Next is checking if spells worked or not. I touched on this a little bit a while ago, but when I teach how to energy sense, you'll be able to simply look at your you'll be able to simply look at your spell and see if it worked or not. You can This is very important when you have wards up and you have, for example, my ward is in a tiny little dish. When I look at it, I can tell if it's working or not. So that's the next thing, keeping up wards. So it's very important if um using energy sensing to see if someone is messing with your wards or not. Something or someone is messing. Next is looking through objects. So when you're in, for example, a metaphysical shop and you're looking through things that you want to purchase, you can use and draw out the inorganic energy from the objects. You can sense it if it's something that you do want in your home or you don't want in your home. Next is sensing other people's energy and intent. I use this when I talk to other people that I just meet. This is something that will be really handy. You can see through people's genuine intent or see through people's facade by sensing their true energy. Next is divination, which I have here, when to stop shuffling. So when you talk to people who do divination, for example, for example, tarot or cartomancy, they'll say that they stop shuffling when it feels right to stop shuffling. This is energy sensing. So when it feels right to stop shuffling, that is sensing the energy from the cards when the cards are telling them to stop. So this can also be applied to other forms of divination. It can also be when sensing energy from the actual tools. For example, when you get the very like strong inclination to start doing divination at a random time of the day, that is energy sensing as well. Next is communicating with other entities. So how sorry, wait. When you're sensing energy, are physical sensations normal? Yes, they are very normal. I will get into that when I teach energy sensing. Um, so next is communicating with other entities. Before we can communicate with them, you have to understand what they are first. So that's energy sensing. So this can also apply to people with clairs. Usually, people will consider it that it's their clair abilities, but sometimes you can do it consciously, and this is energy sensing. Consciously sensing energy around us. Yeah, I will give time for questions afterwards. So next is energy healing. So energy healing is, Iko just did this a while ago with Hilot. um, so for example, Hilot. So in the in what I know, I'm not yet completely sure, but what I know is that we follow the meridian lines. So those are energy points in the body. I'm not familiar with energy healing, but it is energy sensing is used in energy healing. So if you are interested in that, energy sensing is a good place to start. So next next slide. So this is going here I'm going to finally teach how to sense your own energy first. So this is a quick note. It takes days up to years to learn and practice. So don't feel disheartened if you don't get it on the first try. So energy sensing is can be done by anyone, even if you don't have clairs or even if you aren't an empath. This can be done by any practitioner. This is another note, every person is different. Each person's personal energy looks and feels different. Thus, if these techniques don't work for you, keep trying with other techniques. But this technique that I'm going to teach is a very beginner technique to actively and consciously sense personal energy. You don't need clairs or empath abilities. And you do need, however, a basic knowledge and ability to ground, center, and visualize. This is why this class is sort of it is beginner friendly because any beginner can do this, but you do need at least a foundation in grounding, centering, and visualizing. It's recommended you practice this technique somewhere private where you will not be disturbed, since you are going to be focusing on yourself completely. Next slide. There we go. Okay, so this is just a rundown of how to do it. So the first step is to make yourself as comfortable as possible. Then center, ground, relax. You have to center yourself and you have to ground yourself so you don't um, feel as anxious, you don't feel um, as all over the place when you center and you ground. So make yourself as comfortable as possible. Personally, I would recommend it sitting upright rather than lying down. But if you feel more comfortable lying down, that's all right as well. Next is to visualize yourself in your mind. A good way to, if you struggle visualizing, is to describe yourself in words, like paint a picture with with words, basically, on how you look like, but in your mind. So visualize how you look and feel like. What are you feeling right now? If you're sitting on a chair, what does the chair feel like against your skin? How do you look like? What are you wearing? Where you are in the space right now. Next is visualize your own energy taking shape. So this is a little bit hard, but this can look different for different people. These are common forms. So feeling liquidy, feeling like it's light. It can be fog, warmth, electricity, or other things. Use whatever comes naturally to you and you feel most drawn to. So when I do energy work and when I visualize my own energy, I imagine it in almost a neon pink light, like those neon signs. I imagine it as if it's a neon sign, as if I am a neon sign, and the energy is the pink light around me. So that's what comes naturally to me. And it can definitely feel different for other people. It can feel like it can feel like droplets of water. It can feel like um, you get really warm. Um, so it moves on to the next number 4. As you visualize, it is common to feel a physical manifestation of your energy. Common descriptions are feeling tingly, sparkly, warm, cold, or heavy. So when you draw out your own energy, when you sense your own energy, it can feel like you can genuinely feel. It may sound weird for people who've never experienced it, but you can genuinely feel your energy um, physically manifesting on you. So when I do this, I feel warm because it's like a neon sign. Like I said, I feel warm and it feels like I'm radiating off heat because I feel like I myself am a neon sign. Um, Next is to draw the energy to your core. So when you have the energy, when you feel it, it can feel again different for everyone. Um, so when you feel your energy, try to draw the energy in, visualize it expanding out and retracting back to your core. So what I consider my core is the center of my body. So imagine it expanding and retracting back in. So this will take a little bit of practice. And what I do when I struggle with it, I do breath work. I It's almost like meditating, but just simply expand it out and retract it back into your core. So this is you can do this over and over again to practice um to practice sensing your personal energy, because your personal energy is very specific. This is why it has its own tutorial basically. um it's hard to figure out what your energy genuinely feels like. So for me, it took me weeks of continuous practice. It can take even longer. It can take days for some who are naturally gifted at it. But you will genuinely. It may sound weird, but you will feel a sort of um, difference or a sort of shift in how you're feeling in the moment right now. So this is why we first visualize how we feel, and we think of what we feel, what we are wearing, how we look like, and then as we continue to visualize that, you'll feel a shift when you start to sense your own energy. So it's really a lot of visualization and a lot of centering and a lot of grounding. This is why it's very recommended that you have a foundation in that to sense energy. And to stop, simply fully retract it back until you don't feel any residual energy. So when you sort of retract it back to your core until it's smaller and smaller until there's nothing anymore. So that's how I stop sensing my energy, consciously sensing my energy. But again, energy sensing can be done unconsciously. Um, so that's really all you need to know on how to sense your personal energy, which is going to take a while because it's very specific to other people. I have here as many as I can think of what are the common feelings. So, like liquid, light, fog, or feeling tingly and sparkly. If you don't feel any of the things that I listed, it's still completely valid and still completely your energy. It just may feel different from to other people, but these are very common things. So what I know, when I talk to my sibling who is also a witch, they feel um sort of like there's a mist around them, and almost like when you take a hot shower and there's sort of the condensation around you, and it feels hot and heavy almost. So that's sort of what other another description and another example of personal energy. I know that there are people online I've read that they feel like it's a dark heavy fog. So it can definitely feel different. Don't feel disheartened if you can't exactly pinpoint what it feels like right away. So, next slide. Next slide. There we go. How to sense other energies. So, for some people, it's easy to sense energy from other things, and a lot of the time, we actually do it unconsciously. But this is a beginner technique to consciously sense energy. So, first is to draw out your personal energy first. So, this is consciously. So, sometimes it's very easy to just like look at a flower and be like, oh, I can pick that up. But this is to consciously do it. So, first, draw out your personal energy. To sense other energies, you have to know your energy first. So when you draw out your energy, so you imagine it's around you, visualize it expanding out your body and into or around the object or person you're trying to sense energy from. So for example, I think of mine as light. When I expand the light, almost as if like I'm upping the brightness almost to the point where it's bright enough that it surrounds the thing that I'm trying to sense energy from. So I can visualize that the light is expanding and surrounding the object I'm trying to sense energy from. So it's common again to feel a physical manifestation. So some people with liquid personal energy, they feel like the water around them is turning into tendrils almost and moving towards the object that they're trying to sense energy from. But for me, it's brighter light, like I have there, or more powerful electricity. Almost just imagine your personal energy expanding out greatly to the point where it can encompass the object you're trying to sense energy from. Next is you'll feel a shift in your energy. That's the response from the object or person. That's their energy colliding with yours. So for example, when I sense my wards, when I because my wards are tied to my energy and are tied to my home, I know that when I expand my energy out to my ward and I look at my ward, it will feel the same. If it feels the same, that to me means that it's still working. If it feels like all of a sudden it's different, if it feels like it's not in the right place or it feels like it's been moved, that is me knowing that something or someone is trying to mess with my ward. That's the energy from my ward colliding with mine. So that's basically how to sense other energies. It's very easy to do it unconsciously. You can just like look at something and feel. It may sound weird to someone who's never experienced it, but to those who do divination, I know that you can feel when to stop shuffling, feel when to start casting the runes, for example. That is energy sensing. And that's sensing the energies from other things and using it. So, next slide. But yeah, you can is unconscious sensing wait is unconscious sensing like vibe checking? It is like vibe checking because people with clairs are very vibe check. Yes. So vibe checks are a form of energy sensing because people with clairs are already naturally gifted at energy sensing because of their clair abilities. But energy sensing, this technique is for beginners who do not have clairs, who do not have um, any empath abilities or anything like that. So yes, unconscious sensing is vibe checking. Yes. So first is what is energy manipulation. So energy manipulation is the ability to manipulate and draw out energy for specific purposes. A lot of the time, this is done for spell work, for rituals, but I'll get into that in the next slide. So energy manipulation. A really quick disclaimer first before I get into this. energy manipulation, you do not manipulate anyone's energy other than your own or objects that are not alive. Do not manipulate energy that is another human's unless it is for energy healing. So it is unethical to do that, but I will teach how to manipulate energy. So this is just for spell work, rituals, meditation, and circle casting. I am not completely familiar with energy healing, but I know that Hilot is also a form. Yes, always respect other people's free will. I know that Hilot is a form of energy healing. Energy healing is obviously me saying that Hilot is a form of energy healing. I'm just sort of not necessarily labeling it, but I'm just giving an example. Hilot is it's a whole other class. It's a whole other thing. Anyway, next slide. But I will teach how to energy manipulate for spell work, rituals, meditation, and circle casting. So next slide. There we go. So this is how to manipulate energy. First, know what energy you're going to be manipulating. This is why I taught how to sense other energies first before I did teach how to manipulate energy. You have to know what energy you're going to manipulate, whether it's your own energy, the moon's energy, etc. Whatever energy it is. So those are the types of energy, whether it is the energy from planetary bodies, whether it's energy from the elements or your own energy. You have to know what you're using. Next is drawing out that energy by first sensing it using previous energy sensing techniques. So draw it out. I already taught how to draw it out. And next you have to visualize using it. So here on the side, I have for personal energy. For using your own personal energy, this is best done for spell work and rituals. So visualize it moving to an extremity. So almost imagine it. I talked about visualizing it expanding and retracting. Now retract it back to your core, but keep it there. Then visualize it almost flowing or moving to an extremity. Most commonly are our hands, but if you can't use your hands, it can be another extremity. Sometimes some people use their head. It can definitely be whatever feels right. Next is move it to your hands. So when you visualize it moving from your core to your hands, it may sound weird, but I can genuinely feel my hands being very hot. Or your the physical manifestation of your personal energy will move to your hands. So when you move your hands, when you start adding the herbs into the spell jar and sealing it with wax, or when you're drawing your sigil, that is putting energy from your hands, holding your personal energy into whatever spell you're doing or whatever sigil you're writing. And this can be done for spells and rituals. So for example, doing a whole ritual and having your personal energy being contained within your hands while you move around things, that is putting energy into your spells and your rituals. Next is for circle casting or meditation. So first, for circle casting, you draw energy from the elements and you visualize it moving to where it is needed. So for example, in meditation, I do silent meditation. I know some people do active meditation, but for silent meditation, you imagine your energy within your core while you meditate. So that is manipulating your energy. And sort of also, I do meditation also to cleanse myself. So when I keep my energy in my core, I imagine that negative energies are being expelled from my body as I meditate and as I practice meditation. So for circle casting, you'd obviously visualize it in a circle. It can be in a flat circle around you, or it can be in a sphere, almost like you're in a bubble. This is how I know that we have a beginner's basics on circle casting, but so when you draw energy from the elements, you visualize it almost around you, in a circle. That's how to circle cast. That's basically the gist of it. That is all that you need to know, because I don't know how to teach energy healing, but and I definitely don't recommend manipulating other people's energy, and I definitely discourage it. But this is basically how to manipulate energy for spell work and for circle casting and meditation. So as long as you feel the physical manifestation on your hands or on your extremities while you move around, yes, thank you for listening and participating. Um, that is energy manipulation. It's very easy. Um, it's very easy once you get the hang of energy sensing, and energy sensing will get easier the more that you do it and the more that you practice it. It's very beginner friendly as long as you learn how to center and you learn how to ground and practice basic yes, the class is done. um as long as you practice basic breath work um when you perform energy sensing and energy manipulation, it's very easy to do it consciously. But again, it's also easy to do it unconsciously. Once you get a hang of it, you'll be able to do it. And it's very good to know how to energy manipulate and energy sense, because it opens a lot of doors for you in your practice. It can help you not have to do divination when communicating with entities. It allows you to stop having to do divination when checking your spells if they worked. It will make a lot of your practice easier by not having to do whole rituals or whole spells to feel or know something. So that is why energy sensing and energy manipulation is very important in your practice, even as a beginner. So that's it. That's the class. Thank you for listening and participating. The recordings of classes will be posted on the Dewatahan YouTube channel. And
Yay.
now our time for questions. If anyone has questions. Yeah. If anyone has questions. I am now knows Abby. Yes. What if you can't visualize? If you can't visualize, you can definitely start to describe yourself in words almost. Because it's like a gem. Oh my god, Abby. But anyway, back to the question, if I can't visualize. If you can't visualize, describe yourself in words. Almost write a paragraph. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be flowery or really good writing. Just describe yourself in quick sentences. For example, I am wearing a blue tank top. I can feel my lip gloss on my lips. Those quick sentences describing yourself is a great way to start visualizing. So if you struggle with visualizing, it might practice looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing how you look, remembering how you look, and then closing your eyes and remembering what that vision looks like. So that's a really quick tip on how to visualize. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome for the class. Do you cleanse yourself because you're a gem? Abby, oh my god, are we about to kiss right now? Stop calling me Stephanie, Chris. I hate you. I'm kidding. We can end the recording now, by the way.
Okay. Thank you, Neesh, for the class. It
Thank
was
you,
very, very
Neesh.
good.